Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Mark Alessi, Executive Director for the Business Incubator Association of New York State. Want to thank you for joining us here today. A little bit about BIANYS. I know we've opened this up to not only our members, but others in our ecosystem. The Business Incubator Association of New York State is a member-led trade association of 110 incubators and accelerators around New York State, from every industry and discipline, everything from university-based incubators to private incubators run by larger strategic companies, and then accelerators. We were started back in 2006, and the main goal was to network together incubator managers and staff to help them in their career path and to help them do a better job of de-risking companies. When it comes to companies, 110 members, if you add up their collective portfolio companies, we touch 3,000 startups every year here in New York State through the membership. And every state certified incubator is in the membership. Each hotspot is in the membership that's funded by New York State. That's just a portion of our membership. Every year, we hold an annual meeting of incubators. And this year, it was a 3-day conference in New York City, September 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the primary purpose of that meeting, again, is to share best practices, to host panels on thought leaders in incubation, in venture capital, in the startup innovation ecosystem. And in that process, we reach out to potential partners in that ecosystem. And we're very happy to have partnered with UBI. And I'm joined here today with Ali Amin from UBI. He is the CEO and founder. And UBI is in charge of the Global Incubator Index. And I'll let him clean up my language and my introduction on that. But it is an extremely important service that they're providing for our industry in helping to benchmark metrics so that we can continue to find ways to improve the way we de-risk companies. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ali and let him tell you a little bit more about himself and how he ended up on this path.
Oh, man, my mom asks me that all the time, so let me just give it in the same way. Thank you, Mark. A pleasure speaking with you earlier as well. And hi, everybody in New York. So my name is Ali Amin, CEO co-founder of UBI Global, but also of Global Innovation Studios. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well a little bit later. Around 10 years ago, when I was a student studying industrial engineering management from Linköping University in Sweden, my focus was about innovation and entrepreneurship and something that had to be international. That's kind of where my path was. And I also had a computer science background too. And then one of my professors said, you know, Ali, why don't you take a look at incubators and accelerators and see, you know, what they're doing and yeah, who are the best ones out there? And I had no idea what that was. But my professor was a really good man, and he just pushed me because he saw something that I could contribute to the research field. And he also told me to have a focus on the university or academic side, because there weren't that many research papers or not any, but very few research around academic connected incubators and accelerators. And it also helped me kind of narrow the scope down. So what I did together with 2-3 friends of mine, we pitched this thesis idea to an angel investor and the Swedish innovation agency that we have here, because in Sweden, your thesis could be funded and you can get sponsored, and they can help you with some capital, you know, to go out and kind of find the data and work on it. And I was lucky enough, as the sales guy that I am, to be able to kind of package this to an angel investor named Lars Henrik Fries Molin. He worked he had this company called Universum that had this ranking. I think you all know, the world's most attractive employer ranking that comes out every year, where they survey students around the world and ask them, where do you want to work, or how do you see, and which of these brands or companies do you think is a good workplace? And then around that type of perception and brand recognition and the work that they do, they create a ranking, and then they do a lot of activities around that. And he saw an opportunity here together with us as students to do something similar, but within the incubation space, and connected that as well. So we got $12,500 back then with inflation. And we got to travel around the world, which was great. So I actually ended up in New York as well, but a lot in Toronto, in San Francisco, in Singapore, in Israel, Tel Aviv, in Berlin, speaking with you guys, meaning incubation professionals. So I spoke with a lot of incubation managers, corporate partners connected to incubators, the researchers, the university staff, basically everybody that can hold up, asking the same question. What is success when it comes to business incubation, according to you? And everybody had their own answer. Everybody had their own idea. Everybody thought that they kind of knew. And why did I ask that? Well, because I was curious about to see how they would define success. So when I met incubator managers around the world and asked, how do you do today? Like, is it going well? And everybody said, absolutely, we're great. We are doing this. But you know, I was a researcher and a student. My follow-up question was, according to what are you successful? What do you compare yourself against? And there, all of a sudden, the answers became a little bit more fluent and a little bit more vague, which was great, because then we saw an opportunity here to kind of support with that answer, according to this, according to a reference line, according to something that you could hold on to or compare yourself against. And you can do that in so many ways. And that's kind of how we started out, to try to see if we can support answering that question, what is a successful incubator, and according to something, whatever that may become. It was an explorative study, a lot of fun. I was 25 years old, got to travel and meet a lot of people, at the same time build a network. But at the end of the day, we collected a lot of data. And what we ended up doing with this data was to try to kind of figure out how to make sense out of it. And we identified after a while over 50 KPIs, key performance indicators. And that was a lot. And so we released a version of this back in 2013 to get it out there. And we got attacked, or maybe it's not the right word, but you know, all press is good press in that sense. It was a little bit controversial. How can you do this? And why aren't they participating? Or have you thought of this and X, Y, Z, and all of the arguments? But we said, great, thank you. Join us, help us make it better, smarter.
Make it better, right?
Yes, do something with it. So we did. And then we ended up developing this framework called the UBI Global Framework for Measuring Impact and Performance of Business Incubators and Accelerators, a long word. Previously, it was only for academic focused ones, but since a couple of years back, we've updated it together with a research advisory board with people a lot like yourself, Mark, and some of your colleagues, etc. And today it consists of 21 KPIs. Which we have categorized into 3 different categories, 7 subcategories, and then the 21 KPIs. And if you go to worldbenchmarkstudy.com or ubiglobal.com/research, the methodology is there with the metrics and how we've done it, and how we weight and how we try to do. But that's kind of the story, that it was a student project where one thing led to another, and today it's become one of those modules frameworks that more than 1,200 or 1,600 around the world have been using since 2014, to compare themselves, to benchmark, and to be able to answer, you know, the question, that the follow-up question that I had is, are you doing well? Are you doing good? And then they can say, yes, according to UBI's framework, we're great here, 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 and we need to develop hopefully somewhere here, here, here. I'll leave it at that, Mark, and then let's see.
So I definitely want to drill a little bit deeper into that, but you know, just you started you launched the first KPIs in 2013 and put it out there. There were 50 KPIs. You narrowed it down to 21. First, I'm curious, some of the initial pushback that you might have got. Was it on the KPIs that they felt it was, you know, some of the KPIs were not reflective of success in an incubator, or hard to measure, or what was that initial resistance? If you could think of one or two items.
The initial resistance was not the metrics,
Okay.
and it was, oh no, you cannot compare us. We're special.
Right.
We are this entity, and you cannot. Everybody says you cannot, and we said, well, let's see what we can do instead of saying what we cannot do. Because an incubator, just certain definitions are different in certain countries, ecosystem, etc. What is an incubator? What is an accelerator? And then
great question.
Connected to universities and private ones. And can you compare Y Combinator with New York State's business lab, and how that, you know, and then, you know, all of the stress and etc. So as part of the study, and as part of this, the benchmark and thing that we do, and when we take feedback afterwards, and the thing that we, the first 4 or 5 years that it was, they said, thank you, Ali, and thank you, UBI, just by helping us define certain things, you know, we have become a little bit smarter in that sense. So that was the initial setback, just defining and be able to compare, because, you know, they're afraid apples with pears and two different fruits and all of that. And so we tried to make it quite clear around that. But just, I really want to say this at the end of the day is, an incubator, accelerator, startup program, whatever it is, there are certain things that we have to agree on. And it's that an incubator accelerator, it has to have a start and an ending. It's a program. You cannot be in a program forever and ever. So there needs to be a start and ending. And there, I would say a lot of incubator out there fails, because they can, you know, it's not a clear path in that sense, with a certain intake and with a certain exit. And that exit could be time-based, it could be metric-based, it could be goal-based or whatever, but it needs to have a cut. So let's just agree on that it's a program with a start and ending. Great. Then the goals might be different, but the idea is still to, from one stage to another, support the growth of a startup or of an entrepreneurial activity. And I think that's something that we also can agree on. But then goes back to what is the success of the startups and etc., or of the program too. For certain, it's job creation. For others, it's engagement. For third, it's about reach. And when it comes to your tech mobile app, you know, you just want to have many users. For others, is investment attracted, and etc., etc., etc. And so that's why we have a lot of these metrics that try to cover all of them. But for you in the university space, job creation and participation might be more important than in the corporate or in the private space, where investment attracted or return on investment in a certain year, or exits. So, and in that, we try to take to account that as well. And we put different weights on it. But in certain categories, certain metrics have more relevancy, and others a little bit less. And that's kind of how we try to approach it.
Yeah, understanding that certain sponsors of incubators might have different goals. So job creation might be more important than, you know, revenue generated, or at least for that specific sponsoring entity. But you brought up a good point. I'm just going to rewind for a second, vernacular and understanding of terms and using the same terms is still something that we work on. And when BIANYS was launching our education program for incubator managers, we've had Incubator Management 101, 102. We'll develop more programs. You know, COVID kind of slowed down the process of unveiling some of our programs. But the purpose of Incubator 101 was just that we had hundreds of staff members around New York State. And what we all agreed on was we'd like to get on the same page when we're talking about a topic. What's an incubator? What's an accelerator? You know, and so, you know, not to put you on the spot, but what's your definition now? Like, how would you say, 'cause there is no right answer right now. I got to be honest with you. So what's your definition of an incubator? What's your definition of an accelerator if somebody asks you that?
Yeah, the accelerator makes it a bit tricky as well, because you have a pre-seed accelerator or early stage accelerator, and then you have accelerator at later stage, and then the accelerator programs in certain industry differs. You know, an accelerator in the tech community versus an accelerator in fashion or in agriculture or wherever might have a completely different kind of support. We know the way we have said it is that, okay, we put in 3 definitions on the website and as part of the study. One is incubator, one is accelerator, and one is a hybrid, where you actually have both. On an accelerator side, it's usually, we use those type of terms. We are not strict with it, but usually it's cohort based, and that differs from an incubator. And the cohort base is that it does not matter at what stage the startups in, everybody takes the same support classes at the same time, you know, but mostly it's also that they start at the same level in that sense. While an incubator is a little bit more customized and a little bit more supportive of where the incubating company is. So they are a little bit more individual. These are cohort based as part of classes. Okay, that's kind of the thing number 1. The thing number 2 is goes around time. An accelerator tends to be a shorter program, meaning going from 8-10 weeks to up to 6, sometimes 9 months, while an incubator program is a much longer activity. When we look at incubators, you know, of the profile, the average duration, program duration where you incubate, it's 24 months, so almost 2 years, or 23 months and 10, right. 23 months and 10. Or 90% or something like that. So, and on the accelerator side, much shorter. So time is also kind of is a separator. And the third thing is in terms of the exit, in terms of the ending, and acceleration program usually have a demo day or a pitch day or investor day or you know, something, you know, with a clear with a clear cut of what it is, while an incubator can have a different in that sense. Both incubators and accelerators can help at different stages. Both can help in multiple industries and etc. And sometimes a pre-incubation program can be a pre-accelerator in other definition and etc. But those are kind of the 3 main dimensions that we take a look at and that we state. But if you still, you know, are not convinced, oh, we actually do a little bit of these both, then pick the hybrid one, and then we're going to take a look at your budget on where you spend your money and your capital on which activities, and then based on that, we're going to ask you, can we, in our definition at least, call you this, and when we communicate. But if you want to use another term externally, then you're welcome. But in our ecosystem, that's how we go about it.
So I think your definitions are very much in alignment with what BIANYS espouses as well. And you know, I would love. I have one question before I'd like to ask you to kind of give us a little bit more of an in-depth view. If you have any, you know, the presentation or any video to give us more about the index, but just give us an idea, you know, on an annual basis or collectively, how many incubators and accelerators are you touching globally right now? for the index? And then how many would you estimate are out there that we still have? You know, BIANYS, we have 110 members. And that's mind-boggling to people that there's 110 incubators in New York State. I would say there's another 50 out there that are not in our membership, and that's mind-boggling as well. Well, to me, because I think they should be members, but also that there's 150, 160 incubators in New York State. I think the number that you're dealing with is probably going to be mind-blowing for a lot of folks too.
So we've been trying to map the world of incubation since we started, and I've been actually reluctant of putting this number out in that sense, but we are going to do it in a I don't want to spoil it too much, but in a cool way in a year or so within our platform. We've taken a couple of different approaches. So we actually took a list of all of the universities around the world, and then one by one took a look at if they have an incubation program, yes or no, and sometimes how many of them, because one university like Ryerson in Toronto or BYU, for example, or NYU, can have a fashion incubator or whatever and whatnot, and we try to kind of cover all of that. And so that we've done. Then we also took a look at all of the Fortune 5,000 companies around the world to see if they have an incubator or if they white label one, you know, with plug and play or 500 startups or whatever it might be. And we feel like we mapped that quite well as well. So the university, etc. Then we worked with innovation agencies around the world that are funding incubation accelerators, and usually those innovation agencies, that's public domain, so you kind of can get that information available, but not all of them are supported financially or strategically. So there's still some gaps out there, but we took a look at all of the OECD countries and mapped that as well. Then we mapped all of the industry associations like yourself out there. So each state in US, for example, almost each state has a similar entity as yourself. And we try to kind of take a look at that. But you just mentioned a number today, 110, still 50 missing around that. So once you do all of those, you kind of get a good idea in terms of size and population of what should be expected, you know, within that area and within that richness of that country, and etc. And then you can extrapolate research terms here, but you can extrapolate and it's kind of good guess and etc. So 3 years ago, we identified more than 45,000 incubator accelerator programs, as we said, more than 45,000. But then I just got a report from our Chinese partners, and they just give us a list of 6,500 only in China. and that was a little bit mind-boggling as well. And so there is a dark number out there. But my estimation is around 45,000, 50,000 incubators, accelerators out there, absolutely for sure. What is our reach? So since UBI, again, as my studies started in the academic world, 60% of our community that consists of around 1,000 programs today, so around 600 of them are connected to academia, somehow either managed or closely associated. So 600 of them are university academics. And then of the 400, it's what we call public and private actors. And the public ones are run by governments or municipalities or other actors. The private ones are, you know, the family offices or the rich people or these, whatever program that, you know, runs it. And then there's this corporate one, but we only have a couple. But we have Google Launchpads, we have Samsung, we have Huawei also joining us because they also want to benchmark and connect with each other. So our community has around 1,000 programs. Of them, 70% are very active in that sense. But my database, when I reach out and email and etc., it's around 6,000 where we have good contact information and all of them. So there's still 40,000 where we still haven't reached or touched upon. Okay. So if you as an incubator join UBI, which is free of charge, you will immediately be connected to around 1,000 of your peers. And we are a close community. We don't allow any other entity to join it. So it's going to be truly the incubator accelerators out there, no other fake programs, if I call them that way, or different programs. Yeah.
We deal with the same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
we
truly
don't
believe
want
in the homogeneous aspect of it, that it needs to be similar, because the discussions otherwise will be hard and difficult. We will be speaking on different topics, and we have different degrees of freedom of how we engage and interact and keep to do, and it's going to be very, very hard in that sense. So we are very close, and we assess everybody before they come. And our reach is around 90 countries. And yeah, we had Bermuda and Belize joining. So I hope we can do an event or something there.
that sounds great.
Yeah. So 50,000, we around there, we connect in our newsletter outreach around 6,000 of them, around 1,000, 1,200 are part of the, you know, the portal and the things that we do. Of those, 700 quite active. That's kind of the funnel. Yeah.
Okay. So can you give me more insight of the index itself and the KPIs that you're collecting, or you know what our members should know about the process?
Let me share my screen. I have one slide, and let's see if I can make this happen. PowerPoint. Share. And if I do view, sorry, reading view. Great. I hope that you see.
Yes.
So when it comes to the metrics and KPIs,
before you start, Ali, I just want to message everyone that's watching. We do have a Q&A at the bottom of the screen, that if you have any questions that you'd like me to ask after Ali presents this, please start populating those questions now. Go ahead, Ali. Sorry. Perfect.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And this is also a recording session that will be available on our portal later on as well, and sent to you. When it comes to the research, the methodology, the metrics, and all of that, we actually did a webinar 5 weeks ago that we also recorded, where it's myself and together with our head of research, Joshua, go through quite in depth, you know, how it's structured, how we weight, what the process is, and etc. And when you apply and join the study, again, free of charge, you will have access to those immediately. So, and I think, again, as part of the feedback, just by receiving the start kit that we provide with definitions, with metrics, with a common language, and certain things that you can do, it's of a great value. And I'm not going to go more in depth of that, because then we will be here for a couple of more hours. And you know, since this is my baby, as it's 10th year, I can go on forever. So I just want to say that it's available on the website. There is a webinar earlier where I speak more about it, but the documentation that you receive, I truly believe they're going to be of great value once you open them. And we are quite good at, when it comes to quality, you know, from Sweden in that sense, to kind of explain and the robustness around it, and also where we feel we have shortcomings as well. So do that. But moving ahead, you know, the study and benchmarking and you know, put yourself out there and the time. Why should you do it? Well, other than be able to answer the question that I ask, you know, are you doing well? And then in comparison to what? There are certain other benefits that I would like to lift up about when you join and be part of a study like this. And they are listed on the website. But first and foremost, as you all know, sometimes it is easier when you have a third-party assessment. It is still a self-assessment exercise to do the World Benchmark Study. But since we put your numbers into a big database that we built with where we compute everything and with histograms and etc., we actually can see quite fast, you know, if you're an outlier, or if you are, you know, if you doing good or bad, and etc. So it's quite hard to cheat on us in that sense, because our system kind of flags it and shows that. With that said, with 20-30% of you guys, we also, especially if you are top, you know, it seems that you're a really good program, we interview you and we ask for supporting documents. And sometimes we even ask for a second person to kind of verify and assign. So yes, it is a self-assessment, but it's built in a way that we put in measures to be able to kind of secure the data. And that is important for you guys, because it's much easier to say, yes, we are doing really well, or we are actually not doing well, which is, by the way, not a bad thing. It's a great thing, because in either cases, you can ask for more funding. It goes really well. According to UBI, a third-party assessment from Sweden that have done the research, we're doing great in this area. And for us to be able to still continue being great, we need more funding, we need more capital. And here are the arguments. And that's what you get, by third-party assessment. But the other way around as well, according to UBI, third-party from Sweden, in these areas, we need to step up our game. Look at our neighboring partner universities or in other states, and they're doing much better. We need more funding, we need more support, we need more focus, and then to do that. So that's kind of the number one of the arguments that I know it's supportive, helpful, that somebody else than yourself tells you within a common language, as we spoke about earlier, that can be helpful. Number one argument why you should participate. Second aspect, well, if it goes well, if you're a good program, the rankings and the recognition aspect is great, because we offer a platform to celebrate success. And we do rankings with top list of here are the best ones in certain categories out there. We differentiate incubators, accelerators. We differentiate if you're a university managed one or if you're a private one. So you will never be in the same group as somebody that most likely you wouldn't want to be in, or it's going to be difficult for you to explain. And that's something that we learn quite a lot. And the rankings and recognition, well, you know how it is and what you can do around it. It's covered in media, in your own ecosystem, nationally and then internationally. And that gives a lot of buzz. More startups becomes more attracted to you, partners, investors, and something to be able to celebrate and, actually get it on a piece of paper or a badge that, you're doing something really well in a global context. As part of the rankings and recognition, there's a conference around it. There's videos created. There's a lot of material that we produce, and then together with you guys kind of blow it up and work together. And I truly believe in celebrating success. With that said, there's a love-hate relationship with rankings, and you know this, and I know this too, especially if you are connected to a university. We do not tell anybody, we will tell you yourself, the individual program, if you are number 87 in a certain category, etc. We actually only have top 20, top 25, or top 10, etc. list. And then sometimes we have what we call top challengers, or the 3 best within certain, etc. But the long list, that you are 182 or 58 or etc. We do not showcase that to anybody. We will tell you where you are, we will tell you at what percentile, etc. But we won't officially communicate that, and neither in our platforms, material, publication, etc. And I think that's very important to also know about that. We don't want to be a burden to you guys. We want to support and help. But again, celebrating success is very important too. So if you are worried about that, I hope that you're not, but you will get the answer with tough love based on data when you ask in that sense. That's number 2. The third one, well, it's the research itself. Since we have developed this framework, and there's 2 dimensions of this, your impact and your performance. The impact means, how many jobs that you've created, and what does that mean in a global context or regional context, etc. And we highlight that. But the performance is that we take a look at your resources generating that impact. So for example, if you are a small incubator with $50,000 in budget, create, let's say 100 jobs, or your startups could generate 100 jobs. And then there's this huge incubator program that have $1 million budget and create the same. Both of you have the same impact, but your performance, the little one, is much better because you leverage your resources, your budget a bit more. And you get both of those things analysis-wise by us, so that you can see and feel that you can be comparable to others based on the constraints, based on the resources that you have. Also a good argument. Third thing, and this is something that we just added recently. A lot of corporates out there, investors, as you can imagine, is interested in our studies and wants to know who you guys are. And we leverage that, and we do something called corporate matching. Since we have the profile of you guys and we know in what area your startups are, and we support the corporates out there that comes with requests and connect them, not with the startups, actually with you. We do not speak with your startups directly. We speak with you because we want you to establish relationship with these corporates so that you can become a better incubator and accelerator. So you can see us as an extension arm, a voice of your program, regardless if you're good or bad or your, your performance. If you're supporting startups and doing interesting stuff, the corporate matching aspect is really good. And again, I am very happy if we speak with the corporate and then you take over that relationship from us. We want to be the voice of business incubators, accelerators, and support that. So I hope that you remember that. And as always, when you participate in studies and research, you get insights, you get best practices, etc. And one of the things, two things in that area, we have just launched another company, Global Innovation Studios, where all of this is digitalized. We're going to build e-learning programs, we're going to build master classes, and etc. And those insights and best practices will not come from me. I know that maybe you would love to hear me speak even more, but I would not consider myself an incubator expert or a practitioner. I am a facilitator in that sense, and then a community engager, etc. Who are the experts? Well, it's you guys that are on the ground, with the pains and the headaches and engagement, etc. So the insights and best practices comes from your peers, and in your peers, those are the top ranked ones. So as part of our terms and conditions when you join the study and UBI is that if you're a top ranked program, you have to contribute back to the community as part of one best practice session. And if it's a webinar, if it's a video, if it's a workshop, roundtable session, there's different ways, but the best practices comes from the ones that are best in class, best practices. And I think that's a huge amount of knowledge that I hope that you will enjoy and work, continue to develop after that. And final thing, networking and events. And this is a byproduct. It's, when I just started as a researcher, I want to know the data, I want to answer that question. And then a lot of these incubators told me, Ali, this is great. We can talk about metrics, we can talk about rankings, etc. But at the end of the day, we just want to meet each other, because it's in that meeting, the magic happens, and where we can connect, where we can put partnerships and etc. So a couple of years ago, we started a new conference called the World Incubation Summit. And the World Incubation Summit is connected to the World Benchmark Study. So every time we have a study, which is almost every other year, there's a summit at the end of it, where if you participate in the benchmark, you have a secured seat. And if you're ranked, that's where we're going to release the rankings. We're going to recognize you, but that's also where you're going to meet your peers, where you can have those discussions. And it's again, closed community. So they won't be people that are not relevant in that sense, because that's something that I felt going on to different conferences. At some point, there's a student there that you sit with. I was a student myself, but you understand, if you're a manager, then it might be different. And then there's this a marketing person or this program. And we try to be quite restrictive of who we allow, so that you can really connect and have those discussions that on the level that you are. And Angela, you are community and communications manager, and I think you can concur. That's the -- best feedback that we've got from all of our events, that Ali, we love it because it's our peers. The people, the connection, that is what makes it happen. And we've had so many amazing things happening, where an incubator from South Africa did a MOU with an incubator in India, And then another incubator from Taiwan wanted to join, and we had like a mini UN council out there almost, where they are connecting and sharing opportunities and soft landing practices or whatever education, mentorship, coaching that they might do. And that is another big benefit of participating in a study like this. So there's a lot of things that you guys get. Okay, so don't forget that.
Where is the World Innovation Summit this year?
So it's not going to be this year. It's going to be 2023, and
Okay.
We are actually going to change the location to Europe. And I'm not going to say more than that because we have not signed it yet. But we've been in Stockholm, we've been in Toronto, we've been in last time we were in Doha in Qatar. And we try to alternate and go around the world a little bit around that. And then, of course, we have online events, but the biggest one is connected to the study. The thing that we've added this year, and as part of our contribution to the ESG, to sustainability, and we are the country of Greta Thunberg in that sense. So environment is very important. We also work with One Tree Planted. So for every application, not even a participant, every application that we have, we plant a tree in your name in that sense as well around the world. So just to be able to contribute on that as well.
Fantastic.
Cool. I can go more, but if it's okay with you guys, it's better that I don't. Well, I love giving the arguments. I know them by heart, but sometimes it's easier to hear it from the guys that are actually using it, benefiting it. So we just compiled a short video, if it's okay, where you can take a look and see what some of our community members are saying.
Great. After the video, I have a few more questions for you.
Perfect.
Being acknowledged by UBI Global like this just means the world to Set Squared. We're a great team. There's 30-odd people in the south of England who've been working on Set Squared for the last 15 years, working with our 380 member companies, helping them to raise 400 million Canadian dollars just in 2017. So that's a lot of work. It's a lot of blood, sweat and tears from us, the team, and of course from our entrepreneurs as well. So.
Hello, I am Francisco Matiz, Director of the Institute for Sustainable Entrepreneurship at EAN University in Bogota, Colombia. We are very proud that EAN Impacta is recognized as one of the top performance incubators by UBI.
First, thank you to UB Global to be ranked as one of the top incubators in the world. It really helped to become visible. It means that it also is an honor and a big pleasure to realize that what we did in the past was really helpful and really helped to develop startups in an international by being compared on an international level. But it also helps us to build bridges across borders. One example is EuroIncNet, where we team up with other incubators that were ranked top in the ranking, where we can help each other's startups, and we also can be a focal point of contact for corporates who want to dig into more startup ecosystem all across the world.
The York Entrepreneurship Development Institute welcomes you from Toronto, the gateway to North America.
Here at Yeti, we have many educational programs and several acceleration campuses to help businesses of all sectors launch and grow.
The success of our alumni is our success. Thank you, UBI, for showcasing it to the world and all you do for us.
Let's partner. Увидимся в Торонто.
Esperándote en Toronto.
Nous vous attendons à Toronto.
נתראה בטורונטו.
欢迎在多伦多.
See you in Toronto.
Really helped to put this whole idea on the map and to make people aware of
what it takes and how important it is as a process. So it's a badge of honor. It's a culmination of a lot of activities, and it also is an incentive to do better next year.
We are the Stellenbosch University launcher from South Africa. We're privileged and excited to be named the top challenger for Africa for a university-linked incubator. Thank you to all of our amazing startups that make the Launch Lab what it is, and thank you to UBI for this great platform to celebrate the impact that us incubators are having in the world, and for recognizing the Stellenbosch University Launch Lab.
Extremely happy about UBI's ability to convene such an incredible group of individuals together in one place, in one city, in one weekend. People that are extremely busy, and we couldn't be more proud and more grateful to the UBI organization for all their hard work, all their achievements, and of course their selfless efforts in making this something really special.
Thanks, UBI Global.
Thank you, UBI Global.
Thanks, UBI Global. We're grateful for you.
I love incubator professionals. That was great.
Unmute myself. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see that sometimes, and I tempted to forget it. I showed it, speaking about my mom earlier, but when she asked, what do you do? I said, I think I'm connecting people around the world. Here, take a look. And then I just showed that video reel, and well, she said that she was proud of me, and I hope that or I felt it too. So.
It's validation. I love this space, and I love incubator professionals. I think we really have an amazing job or lifestyle, in that you get to see the solutions for the world's problems at a very early stage, and then help get them to where they need to be, so they can help people and help improve humanity. And you could see the excitement. It didn't matter what country you were just portraying. I see it here in New York. Been involved with a lot of international opportunities from incubation. And it's remarkable when you are able to go to another country. When we launched our soft landings program for BIANYS, I traveled to Serbia, I traveled to Spain. Then the pandemic hit, so a lot of it went virtual with the Czech Republic and Prague. But it's almost like a universal language, which is good. It means the industry has matured to the point where there are best practices. People are learning them, but I could see where you're going to continue to help us improve. So from a question standpoint, we have something in the chat at the Q&A section, and I'm going to again advise anybody else that has questions to put the question in the Q&A. But from Ying Zhao, who's one of our members out of CUNY Queens College Tech Incubator in New York City, what are the top 3 or 5 metrics that incubators, accelerators can use to measure their success based on what you see?
That was my research question 10 years ago too. So just give it back. So what would you say? So after interviewing a lot of people in many years, and I have to also say this, that we set up a research advisory board that is with us for around 2 years. And we collect them from different parts of the ecosystem. So there are VC people, and there are startup representatives, incubators, of course, university deans and professors, etc. So that we can kind of get the different perspectives. And we even invite the government sometimes, and the innovation agencies, and we work with the Higher Education Institute and UN, the development program as well. So they help us to kind of see if we are still relevant in that sense to be able to answer. Again, the framework consists of 21 KPIs, but we actually measure more than 50 of them anyway. But the 21 is the one that we are using for the ranking purposes of them. And of those 21, 5 or 7 of them are highly weighted. And if you go to the website, you will see. But okay, what could it be? So our framework consists of 3 dimensions. One, what we call the value or the impact an incubator generates in its ecosystem. So an incubator is part of an ecosystem locally, and the impact that you contribute has to be measured somehow. And there are proxy metrics around that, etc. But two of them, it's talent retention, not attraction, retention, meaning that the companies that are in your ecosystem, when they have exited and left your program in that sense, are they still contributing to the ecosystem? Are they looping back? And that's something that we measure, and I think that's important. Again, how do you also create an impact value for your ecosystem? Job creation. At the end of the day, full-time employment, etc. in the ecosystem, it's important. If I speak with corporate incubators, accelerators, they will say not to that, but then I'll shift the weight a little bit for them. But job creation, talent retention, I would say on the impact side. Then the second dimension that we have, it's value for client startups, meaning what's the value impact that you generate and support your startups, the ones that you help. And it's on 3 levels. You competency development, access to network, market, and access to finance. Those are the 3 things almost every incubator does, right? When you help your entrepreneurs. So when it comes to competency development, what's important there? Well, not only if you have coaches and mentors, of course, who they are is important, but are they actively engaged and are they being used? So in terms of not only hours available, but actually hours engaged with your coaches and mentors, and etc. So we take a look at that in that sense. On the access to market and network, we ask you, the incubator, how is your partner Rolodex? Does anybody use Rolodex these days? But you kind of understand what I'm saying in that sense, that who are your partners and how many are they, and are they supported in your ecosystem around, etc. So basically, how is your reach in supporting your client startups? And that's another good metric that we take a look at. National, international partners, for examples. And then the last one, access to capital. How much money has been invested in your companies? Investment attracted. I think that says it all. And then the last kind of dimension that we have, we call it the value impact for the program. So the first one was ecosystem, client startup, and the program. The program is yourself, like how impactful, attractive are you, and the impact that you do. And that's application received in that sense. We want to know if you as an incubator, how many applies to your program and where do they come from, and etc. And then of course, if you convert them, do you accept everybody, and etc. But your applications, and when we say application, we have defined it quite clear what a real application is, not just an interest, that hey, they have to submit and fulfill certain steps, and we take a look at that. But we also contribute the success of a client to you guys, to the programs, 5 and sometimes even up to 10 years after that they have left the incubation programs. How do we measure that? We ask about IPOs, M&As, and exits. And we also ask you if you are tracking your alumni, meaning the startups that have left your program, up to 3 to 5 to 10 years. And if you do, we want to see if those companies are their survivability rate, but if they are high growth companies, meaning that they are 3x their turnover or their employment, or there's a really clear definition around that. So we contribute the growth and the success of the startups to you guys 3, 5, and 10 years. The 10-year aspect is on the IPO side, because sometimes it is, but you will still get pointed because you have supported on those growth. I would say that's roughly 7, 8 of them, but there's a bunch more. But yeah, those are the ones that almost everybody seems to agree on.
Okay. It looks like maybe we might be running out of time. I don't know if you have time for, 1 or 2 more questions. I don't see any in the chat right now. So I guess what is the call to action today, Ali? Ying also had put into the chat where to get the application, and then we have the link there. She answered her own question, but when do people have to apply to partake in the index by? And what would you like to see over the next couple of weeks?
Worldbenchmarkstudy.com. Super easy. Worldbenchmarkstudy.com. You can Google it, or there's a link in the chat, etc. There's a form there. Apply, and you will get instructions. On those instructions, you will get invitation to another company that is owned by UBI, which is called Global Innovation Studios. Global Innovation Studios is the tech arm of UBI in that sense, where we have built the community portal, the tools, and etc. And we are at Global Innovation Studios, we are creating a lot of innovation tools that you can use as an incubator manager, and then later on for your startups and etc. But one of the tools that we have, is the portal, the community aspect of it, where you can find your peers and connect with them. All of this free of charge, super easy. And if you can apply for Global Innovation Studios outside of the study, you don't need to participate. It's just a different flow. But if you go through the World Benchmark study, everything kind of falls in line around there. And then the deadline for the study, it's October 14th, I believe. But I've done studies many years now, so there's of course a Slack available. I'm not going to tell you how much more, but let's just say in the month of October, it would be great if you completed all of the steps. It's a questionnaire, around 72 questions. Again, just by seeing them, it will help you a lot. And sometimes you will also realize, hey, we don't have a system in place, so we don't actually collect and connect that. Then there's something that you can develop for next time around, but it will still just help you to be part of that. And yeah, I think October, do it now, but then you have a couple of weeks to finish it. We're gonna take November to analyze the data, work on it. And if you're lucky, before Christmas, so we will be able to deliver your individual benchmark, your result. And it's going to be part of that portal. And we have digitalized everything. So it's going to be beautiful graphs where you can click and play and work around and create your own index and generate reports and etc. And it's going to be more webinars, information around that. But we're going to give access to the data back to you. The actual recognition aspect, the rankings, when we release the report, the publication, the output, we saved up until February 2023. And that's when we're going to announce, the rankings, the top lists, and things like that. And we're going to hopefully be able to see you guys there as well, either for the recognition aspect or for the networking and engagement aspect. But hopefully somewhere in Europe, beginning of February 2023. That's basically the timeline. But right now, go to that website, fix it now, and then you're in the process. And my colleague Angela and Clemens will take good care of you.
Sounds great. Can't thank you enough for doing today's webinar and including us. And we're happy to partner with you on this and try to get the metrics we need.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Good luck. Take care, and I see you guys.
Take care.